Hey, welcome to the platform, a thought provoking platform, an atmosphere designed to be authentic and real without condemnation and judgment. Here so that we can talk and expound upon our journeys that make us who we are as people. Hey, welcome to Let's Talk. All right, let's get it together. Enjoy the episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. Let's talk. Hey, let's dive right into it today. I want to talk about why do people cheat? This question was asked of me a few days ago by someone, and it's hard to land on one straight answer to this question because it's very complex and the answers can vary, right? I'm no expert, but I can tell you that it's something that, we'll be confronted with at some point. I was reading an article and the source said up to 40 to 50% of us will experience some form of infidelity or cheating in our lifetime. And I tend to agree with it. I think we can all relate to this, but I think it's a problem and it runs deep. And so to answer the question, why do people cheat? There are a whole lot of factors that go into that. And, let me just dispel this notion right off the bat that, men are more predisposed to cheating than women. That might have been the case at one point, but I think we have evolved way past that right now. I think men and women cheat equally. That's just my opinion. But some of the research out there suggests that men still hold the slight edge in that department, a slight edge. But I think the takeaway here is that both men and women cheat equally so. In my opinion, again, I think men just get caught more often. Men, guys out there, if you're listening, quit it. You're not that smart. I don't believe we should cheat on each other, men and or women. It's hurtful. And if you really care about someone, you would not want to do that to someone you say you love. Let's get that out there. I think, it's a selfish thing to do. I get it. There are a lot of things that goes into why people cheat. First of all, I think individuals cheat because our lack of love or commitment, neglect. It can be and have a desire to. It comes back to an unfulfilled need. An unfulfilled need. If you find yourself in a relationship, if you think you're not getting the attention that you require, if you don't have that intimacy with that individual, or you're feeling neglected in a certain way, then that's a perfect breeding ground for cheaters, right? And so I think it's a huge emotional disconnect when cheating happens. I think you can love someone and care about that person, and the person who is doing the cheating, I think it starts with a void inside that person. I think that person has to do the soul searching and some reflection, because I think at the end of the day, they are lacking something. They're a little off balance in their, emotional and physical needs, right? And then again, it comes back to that law of attraction. When it comes to men, I think from the dawn of time, I'm going to make a bold statement here, that's almost a primal instinct, you know what I mean? And it's not an excuse, guys, to just go out there and just, cheat on your partner, cheat on your girlfriend, cheat on your wife. That's not a reason. You've got to really do some soul searching and see that what's missing. Where's the disconnect in your life? Are you not happy? Are you not content? Check your commitment level. Again, I think, guys, we are visual creatures, and it starts with the sight. It starts by seeing something, looking at something that's desirable or someone that's desirable, and we want it, right? It's, the flesh wants what it wants, right? But I think, if you are lacking something in that relationship, it only heightens that ability to go out there and step outside of your relationship. Another big reason too why people cheat is cultural. Culturally, it might be your belief system. It might be a practice in your culture that men says, "Hey, I gotta have as many wives as I want to," and or for instance, I'm from the Caribbean, right? And I know that, culturally, it's like every other man thinks that he's supposed to have something on the side. And so when you really think about it, that's a cultural thing that runs very deep, and it might be a learned behavior as well. You know what I mean? So I know when I was coming up, I saw a lot of it, and a lot of us here today is a byproduct of somebody stepping outside of their union, their relationship, their commitment, and so it's a complex mix of reason why people cheat. But I think it stems from a lack of balance within that person. And it's all their perception. Perception is reality, right? If they're feeling neglected and they're not feeling that love and that connection, that commitment. And, for instance, I had a situation, a long time ago, where I was dating this person, and, it's a long distance relationship. And that's a challenge, right? Great intentions, but I don't think you could really fulfill the needs of each other in that space. I mean, it's a challenge. I'm not going to say, it's impossible, but it's very, very difficult. Long distance relationship, that's a perfect breeding ground for somebody to step out of their relationship. That's a tough one. You could very well like each other, love each other, but I think in a relationship, people need that intimacy to be able to, talking on the phone and through applications and technology, and that's okay. But, I think human wants and desire that touch, that intimacy. You understand what I'm saying? So, another reason why people cheat too is every day, you're working with somebody and you spending all this time on the job with that person, and it takes a lot of discipline because we work many, many hours and we're away from home, so there are a lot of situations. And I just think it comes back to, if you really love each other and you are committed, you are making a concerted effort to be committed to each other, I think it raises your rate of success and not step out of your relationship. Like I said before, it can destroy marriages, it can destroy a home, it can destroy, let's say a couple have children and somebody is being unfaithful and steps outside of that union. Now you have children that's affected by that. That's trauma to your children, and so it's a bad deal for everyone, right? It's going to take discipline not to do those sort of things, right? So it's a tough situation, and I think men and women do it equally. And that is something you find yourself having to lie and deceive and cover up. And I always say there is, for every action, a reaction, and every cause there's an effect. And while, some cheaters never get discovered, there's always a penalty. And quite frankly, the penalty could be death, because if you're out there, you're sowing your wild oats and stepping outside of your relationship, yeah, you might bring home a disease that you can't get rid of. And that's very serious, right? And now that involves other people's lives that you're putting in jeopardy. So just being very transparent and very blunt that, it's no longer something that, and some people get a high of running around. And just be honest with your partner, man. Just be honest. If you feel like you have an unmet need, communicate, brothers and sisters, communicate. Just open your mouths and say, hey, look here, Sally, I'm not feeling that, I'm getting what I need out of this relationship. I feel like, I want to be loved a different way. Okay. Communicate. But I tell you, some people get a high of running around and cheating. Some men and women, some they get a high. So it's that thing, that adrenaline of that excitement of sneaking around, and it all ends badly. Okay, this is a tough world out here, and there are no winners. My grandmother used to say, "What goes around comes around," and I don't want that kind of karma. So no, no, thank you. I mean, there are a lot of eye candies out there, and like I said, there's an episode I did. You can look, but don't stare. Okay, you can appreciate beautiful women, and my guy said, okay, I see beautiful women every day, and I can stop and look for a second, like, wow, I can appreciate the beauty that's out there. But I know I have something greater. I have something more meaningful. You know what I mean? Something that's worth keeping. And so the question is, guys, when you're in that space, just think about, okay, that other person. Think about the chaos and the destruction, both mentally, physically, the devastation of cheating. It's a bad thing all around. All right. So think about that, guys. And it's a good question. There are no one answers to this question. It's a complex mix of all those other things I just mentioned. But when it boils down to it, it comes back to character, self-reflection, communication, open communication. It comes down to that person who is going to be the offender. They're not happy with themselves. They might be struggling with some self-esteem issues. It might be some cultural, like I said. And a lot of people cheat because of opportunity. They can have a great partner at home that's fulfilling their every need, but they still step out. Opportunity, lack of discipline. All right. So hopefully you got something out of this today, guys. Let's talk. Stop the foolishness. Hey fam, show your love. If you love what we're doing here at Let's Talk, we want you to like, comment, or subscribe. We also want you to hit that notification button to be alerted for future videos. Until next time, let's talk.